Hi, hello everyone. I am Eleftheria from CrabNebula, and today I have the pleasure to have with me Kareem. Hi, Kareem. How are you? Please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background.
Hi, Alif. I hope you and everyone watching us now is in good health and shape. My name is Kareem Ebrahim. I'm a software engineer based in Cairo, Egypt. And in my free time, I am building this little, hopefully helpful tool called TableX, which is more or less a table viewer, but um, kind of different and offers some more unusual benefits than other traditional table viewers.
Would you like also to share a little bit about how you started working with Tauri?
Before knowing Tauri at all, I just had this vague idea about uh, creating an open source table viewer for developers. So when I started looking at the technologies in hand, I found I knew Tauri, but I didn't actually know much detail about it. So I had here Electron and had here Tauri. So I was in this situation where, okay, do I go with what I already know with Electron? But actually, the bundle size and some other issues with the documentation, I prefer to go with Tauri and go the extra mile because I actually didn't know anything about Rust before using Tauri. Uh, so I said, yeah, okay, I'll take the risk. And I learned the bare minimum of Rust that get me up and going. And while working with Rust, while working with Tauri, I started learning more and more about Rust, and I think I got to a pretty good place with it. So yeah, what got my attention first when I looked up Tauri is the extremely small bundle size, the developer ecosystem, the plugins, all of that. It was just super nice. Um, and documentation is pretty good also. So that all of this seemed to me like a winning equation for me.
I think that a lot of folks have a similar story as yours. And sometimes people know Electron, but then they hear about Tari and all the benefits that you also described, and then they decide to change. So I hope so far that was a nice journey for you. Yeah. All right, let's go to table X. Please share your screen. Tell us what table X is all about and maybe its best features or like whatever else you think will be useful for our audience.
I will send you the links for everything, and just go to the download section and choose the platform of your choice, whatever you're using, and just download the installer of your choice. So I already have it, so I will just open TableX. So actually, if you just opened it for the first time, we will not have this, but because I have already saved some saved connections, the the, uh, the connections just open. If you don't have, you will have just this splash screen that tells you to create your first connection. Okay, so here we can let's just create a fresh new connection. We can obviously support the most common three database drivers. Let's just choose the easiest. SQLite, and then I can just choose the file and I can open it. I can obviously give it a name, let's for example testing. I can test the connection before making it so the connection is healthy. I can save it without connecting to it, or I just can connect to it instantaneously. So let's just save it, and here the new connection appeared here. So let's just dive into it. Here on the left side, you have all the tables present in the database. Um, and I already created some mock table with and populated it with some data so you can experience with it. So when you click on the table, you will get all the data available in that table, the columns and everything. Obviously, you just get you can expect from it anything traditional from any table viewer. Like you can sort the columns, of course, and actually there is some nice work done here in this view to make it performant, because we received some feedback from our users that the UI was pretty heavy when we when there was a lot of entries in the table, like one of our users was using TableX with a database that contained, I think, uh, 24,000 entries. So uh, initially, it was very heavy on the backend side and the front end side. So we did some work here, and first of all we added pagination. So we have pages. We split your data into pages. Um, each page is by default is 500 entries, and also we implemented here virtualization. So basically, you don't render like here we have 500 entries. You don't render the 500 entries. You just render what you see here in the viewport, and above and below are just plain raw data, no DOM elements, no anything. Yeah. So for example, I can delete entries. Uh, of course, this is something good. We don't do any editing or deleting on a table if it doesn't have a primary key. This is just for safety purposes because we don't know what column you wish to use when you, for example, delete or update a row in the table. So let me just open another database that I have with a primary key. Okay, that's good. We can delete the row with just the delete key. We can also here on the bottom left hand side, we can add a new row. Um, we use obviously we use ChatCN components here. Actually, I'm pretty surprised how the application is still relatively very small in size, given the fact that I'm using a lot of packages here. I'm using Zod, ShadCN, TableX query, virtualize table for the table. So yeah, uh, that's just pretty cool. Okay, so also the form here is is completely validated. So if I type a number here, the validation will fail. So I have to enter a valid string, and I can say, and I successfully created the row. I think it was 1000 and something. So we should, yeah, here it is. I can also right click and edit it. This is all data. You can edit whatever you want and just hit submit. Also, if you noticed, we are highlighting some rows here. We can select a bunch of rows, and we can either right click and copy. They are now copied in the clipboard, or just hit Control C, and they are spontaneously copied into clipboard, and you can paste them. This is a plain old traditional table viewer, let's say. So what is unique about TableX? If we hit Control K, we get this command palette. We can go to the previous connection page or create a new connection from the start. But the unique thing here is this API docs. If we open it, we get some things. Basically, there is a separate product I'm also developing called MetaX. MetaX is basically a Golang application that you give it the connection string for your database, and it automatically creates a RESTful and GraphQL APIs for your database. We bundle during release builds, we bundle MetaX with TableX and as a sidecar, as a Tauri sidecar, so we can invoke it from the application directly. Okay. So yeah, here's the GraphQL playground. You can test your GraphQL queries here. We can execute the query, and now you get all the databases in the file and all the tables in the file. We can also do all sorts of mutations here. You can create columns, drop columns, create tables, drop tables, and all sorts of speak. Also, let's test with the Swagger. Yes, and here is the full Swagger documentation for the RESTful API that is automatically generated for you when you just connect to the database. So let's test the table endpoint, try it out, and execute. And we get back all the tables we have. And as you can see here, we can create tables, columns, everything.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Um, Also, just recently, we now ship a little CLI with TableX. Like, let me show you. For example, I can do TableX dash help. I spelled TableX wrong. TableX dash help. Yeah, this is the help for TableX. The functionality is still fairly new because we just recently added it, thanks to our contributors. But we can, for example, create a connection from here, from our terminal. We can use the connection string, any connection string, like we can use Postgres, MySQL as the usual. I will just provide it with a local SQLite file I have here, and we can optionally provide a connection name. It's called test, and we can also optionally save it if you like.
Mhm.
We just execute the command, and here it is. We have our connection saved and ready to go. Yeah, I think that wraps up everything I have to say about TableX.
All right. I think that so far that was very impressive, and indeed you had some unique features. I also wanted to ask, are you working on this alone, or is there a team behind it? Because I can see so many things, and I don't know when you have the time to develop all those things.
Yeah, I'm soloing this. I'm soloing this.
Wow, that's again very, very impressive. What tech stack did you use? Like I know Tari and Trust, but what else did you use?
For the front end, we are using initially we were using Next, but I ran in some issues, some weird issues with Next. And we were not actually using anything Next specific, so I migrated the whole front end to React and Vite. We are extensively using TanStack products. Like I said, we are using TanStack Query, the new router, the TanStack Virtualized, TanStack Table. Yeah, a bunch. And we are using Chatsy UIs, and we are using, as I said, MetaX is developed in Golang. The website we are developing in Astro and developing and deploying it on Vercel, and of course Tauri and Rust, and I think that's pretty much it. Yeah,
Did you know those things, or did you start learning them due to this project?
yeah. I basically didn't know zero Rust before using Tauri, as I said. And yeah, I had some rough time with it, fighting with the border checker. Never mind. But I think I
No,
didn't
no,
know anything.
that would be my next question actually. Like, how did you debug, and when you had the troubles in your code, how did you troubleshoot them? Because as I mentioned, I'm also learning Rust, so I'm a bit interested in that part. Like, how do you debug? How do you define solutions and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
we kind of shared the same pain. So I was most of the time fighting with the border checker until I learned to just go with it, don't fight it. When when it comes to debugging, I think Rust debugging is fairly easy, and React debugging is pretty easy, but the inter-process communication was pretty kind of difficult because it randomly throws some errors in the console, and I didn't know where it's coming from, or well, it wasn't the best experience. So until I recently knew about CrabNebula DevTools, and I thought, how didn't I know about this earlier? This would have saved me so much time, and
Yeah.
will add a nice developer experience to whoever using the developing the TableX locally. And the next step actually is to incorporate CrabNebula DevTools in TableX. But I think the DevTools require Tauri V2. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, TableX is still V1. And but
Yeah, so I think you can use it for version one as well. And actually, right now we are developing some new features, and hopefully they will be coming pretty soon. So yeah, probably
That's
this
pretty
can
cool.
help you.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, this will definitely help us to ship it a lot faster.
nice, nice. That's amazing. I'm happy about that. And I have just a few more questions for you. The first one is, what was your inspiration about building TableX?
Yeah, I actually looked into the available table viewers. I think most of them was closed source, and the other, like for example, Prisma Studio, it requires you to have a Prisma schema. But what if I am not using Prisma at all? Also, Drizzle Studio, it requires you to have a Drizzle schema. But what if I'm not using Drizzle? If we look, for example, to a very famous example, Table Plus. very huge in size and also closed source. I'm not giving the claim that TableX is now an alternative or an open source alternative for anything. Um, but yeah, it's gradually coming to there. So back to the question, most of the tools are closed source and most of them are paid, and most of them are not that user friendly, I think, at least for me. So I tried to come up with a extensible solution using modern tools, like as I said, ChatCN and stuff, um, to create an open source, community-driven tool that can evolve and according to the needs of the user.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. What are your future plans regarding TableX? Will you continue developing it? Will you add new features?
I think I can share some features we are working on it right now. We are planning to create custom user settings. For example, when you saw the in the demo, by default pagination is on, but we will add the option for the user to specify if he wants pagination, this page navigation behavior, or if he wants what is it? Yeah, infinite scrolling. So and a bunch of other settings, but we will just lay the foundation for the setting first and start adding new settings. We will add a bunch of new shortcuts because now we have shortcuts, but not that much. We will add a bunch of new shortcuts. We'll continue improving the CLI and add new features to it. I don't know what exactly new features to add, but we will wait for the feedback of our users.
Do you know so far if you have like a lot of users or if you have like a decent feedback and you can continue working based on that?
Yeah, we not that much actually. TableX stuff is still fairly new. We had some little feedback, and it was actually pretty helpful. The CLI was a suggestion from our one of our users, and the performance issue I took in the beginning of the demo was also a feedback from our users. But if anyone was using TableX and encountered a weird bug anywhere, or have a certain feedback that a certain feature that you would like to see in TableX, just feel free to open a new issue on GitHub, discuss it with us. If you'd like to help in it, you are totally welcome.
All right, thank you. That was amazing. And I will leave all the links in the description below so people can reach out to you and in GitHub quite easily. Thank you very much for our interview. I'm wishing you all the best. TableX
Thank you.
is awesome and looking forward to see the new features on it.
Thank you, Olivia. Thank you.